Oh, that's right. Callofthenight, episode 4. Let's get into it. Man, vampires, people, emotions, midnight madness. We left off at an interesting point, right? It kind of looked like this new vampire person that we've known about called Kabura is in the area. She's kind of not standoffish isn't the right word, but she's very closed off for reasons. And she left us off in the last episode kind of hinting that she needed something from the two characters, Ko and Nazuka. What it was, easy money. They just needed them to switch outfits so people wouldn't look at them walking around the hospital, exploring, spelunking, and being like, who are these two kids? So again, we're kind of seeing like this layered groundism within this world of fantastic supernaturalism, which is where you gotta find that middle line, I think, because we get a lot of heavy details in this one, things that I didn't really expect to see coming, but also things that opened up more questions and like more fascinations about people that we thought we knew, at least. So as it is, they are out there trying to find some piece of Nazuna's past, any type of hidden object that will kind of remind her of the emotions or her personality or whatever it may be that causes these vampires to kind of feel weak in the moment while being exposed to their objects. Almost like that Harry Potter guy with the, what is it called? The crucifix? Where you gotta burn those totems so you can get to him. Something like that. We don't speak his name. But as they're doing that, we get this interaction. Ko, Nazuka going around looking for stuff, trying to get it happen. They're able to find this door that was brought up by Kabura, which is obviously completely covered in red and like taped up and made to look like there's some kind of monster or zombie hidden behind that. To which naturally, Nazuka is like, nah dog, we don't do ghosts in this house. And then Ko's like, bro, come on, it's not that serious. It's just red tape. Alright. But before we were able to spelunk, there had to be a moment of Scooby-Dooism. They split up. Ko has to use the restroom. But in that specific moment, we get a attack, a vampire attack, if you will, by yes, the one and only Kabura. And we're just like, man, I thought she was on our side, but she's not on our side. Why isn't she on our side? Or else find out which side she's on. Because this allows Nazuna to be alone, stranded, and it may be a little bit too coincidental, but if you want to go beyond those lines, then let's just say these coincidences were created by someone who wanted her to step into that room. And she does, not by choice, but by fear. As she goes running into it, we heard the rumors of like a ghost dressed in white phasing through the wall, through the door, through the wall to get into the room. And that's how you know that it's supernatural. Or is it? Because she gets in there, she teleports into the room, and what do you find in there? It's a normal ass hospital room. But why the pizzazz? Why all the commotion outside when inside it's completely normal, if you will? And as we're looking within, we do notice the one object, the one personal piece in the room. A picture frame with two people, a nurse and a patient. But first, Ko, trying to understand what's going on, is trying to see where this is all coming towards. And like, if you're like me, he's kind of like Ko, I like that. We're trying to put pieces together and like, no, I got it. You were the one who made Nazuna into a vampire. That's why you guys know each other. Like, that's why you're like protective about her. There's like almost a parental love coming from you when you ask about how Nazuna's doing. Oh, she's doing well? That's great. I like to hear that, or whatever, or that's good news. Or a love. Almost like a love that was pushed away. But we're getting there. because as it's getting curiosity, as we have a funny little cute scene of how Ko's like, yeah, you're the culprit, you're the father, and he's like, wrong, Iyada. And then Nazuna comes in the room, he's like, I got it, she's the one who turned me to a vampire. He's like, nope. Here's what really happens. We have this young lady, Kabura, who tells her friendly vampire, Nazuna, that in these special blood pouches is my original blood before turning into a vampire. And to give it credit to the fantastical elements, they talk about how the blood carries memories, if you will. There's DNA in there, there's certain genetic coding in there that allows these supernatural vampires to get almost a reflection of what had happened to the person, or what they were going through, or what they were feeling. And we get the ultimate bloody flashback. Yeah, she takes a big swig out of her juice pouch. And yeah, completely teleported. I'm not too sure how long ago they said it could have been, but maybe they kept it secret for reasons of vampirisms. But we do notice, we do see a very sick Kabura, and that's the part where you go like, wait a minute, we thought she was a nurse the whole time, but it kind of makes sense. It kind of checks out that somehow this vampire, who is like this super like kind of like standoffish vampire, would be born from this hospital. But we'll get there, because we go through an interesting story. We go through a sad part, I guess. And this girl has had a life, not a very easy one. Apparently she has some sort of sickness, or some kind of ailment where she can't really keep up. Let's call it a immunodeficiency. I hear people are very charitable for that cause these days. And what happened there is that because she was just a adultish high schooler girl who kept on going to this hospital visits, she unfortunately wasn't able to really keep up with her high school friends. And as we all know, time waits for no man or woman, as she sits there in that hospital and time passes by, and then she has to go back into the world. But this time it's college days, and college is a fascinating time, especially in Japan. I would say there's almost like a pass to be even more explorative. That is a very American thing as well, I guess. But it's there that we get to see kind of this moment of her having to internally struggle with the idea of like, dude, I don't know these people, and they don't necessarily know me. And even though we call each other friends, there's almost a disconnect, like something that is not there. And the superficiality is not powerful enough to supply the necessity of understanding one another. And this chick unfortunately has to go through a long, torturous cycle of just dealing with people that are sure dealing with her, but if they were people who were trying to kind of be there or be patient, or for God forgive, love their friend, then it's less of a necessity and a chore and more of a moment. Well, to each their own. We all know kids will be kids, teenagers will be teenagers, hormones are going to be kicking in as they all do. And we have to kind of have a moment where we just see her sort of regress into this shell, or like start pulling away more from this human interaction, this sort of this openness to accept people. And yeah, it starts making sense how you can get someone who was bright, curious, and wondrous become this dark, enclosed, and sloneristic vampire in the future, and that's a lot. That was something that I don't know if that this is gonna be the angle that we go with, kind of going through everyone's stories. We did think about that last week, how if we go through each of the character stories, we'll have a different perspective, and hopefully these perspectives give us kind of, say, insight into something serious or something that isn't very talked about, isn't usually talked about, but maybe with the inclusion of how these things are being portrayed, and with the introduction of freaking creepy nuts and their sick ass music, maybe we can see how people are able to open up and talk more about these ideas, as they are less foreign than we really think. Because what if I told you she did have a friend this whole time? She did have someone that was patient. She did have someone that was kind. And to an extent, you could make an argument that she had someone that loved her. And this person, the nurse in the picture, taking care of the patient, is none other than our Nazuka. And yeah, that's what you're talking about. We're like, whoa, what the heck? We thought she was older. How is this girl that looks younger the older girl that is taking care of these other girl? And she's like, it's like what? What timeline are we on? And yeah, if you want to add fuel to the fire, maybe they are vampires. Maybe this is all happening IRL. But yeah, we get a literal bombshell of, yes, that was the two of them met in this hospital because she was a worker, Nazuna, and Kaburo was a patient, and because the frequent visits to the hospital, they started building this friendship. And friendship might be an interesting way to put that, because I don't want to put a finger on things in terms of like how far Nazca was, or where her mindset was, or what her maybe her goals or her end goals for any of this could have been. But throughout the whole flashback, we see Nazca kind of taking care of Kabura, but still kind of always splashing in this feeling of like let's call it passion, because there was this girl who was spending time being patient, understanding, caring, and actually taking care of her and her body, and like in that manner of hospitalization. And one could make a case for how that becomes like a dependency. You get a almost a codependent relationship where there's a person that feels happy giving, and there's a person that feels appreciated in receiving, and that becomes like its own relationship. No one's saying that has to be terrible, no one's saying it has to be wrong, but as we all know, anything put off balance on a scale can lead to ruin. So we have this buildup of her being kind, caring, kind of flirtatious, right? We don't know where that line lies for the two of them, as we just kind of see their relationship develop and how they are more comfortable. They start using each other's first names, and it does become a honest relationship, whether that be a friendship or something that could be more. Because at the end of it, unfortunately, we do get this poor Kabura girl who is at the end of her rope. She has just had a conversation with one of her super cool friends that low-key just talk shit behind her back, and is again planning trips, but planning things that they don't really that Kabura herself knows that she cannot do. So it's almost a question of, why are you even telling me if you know I can't do these things? And if you don't care that I can't do these things, then why would I hang out with you? Or why do I want to spend time on you? And yeah, it's a little sad. We see her kind of just regress into her shell and just stop trying, stop really, maybe logistically stop caring, and she goes to the rooftop for whatever reason you might want to put on that. But she goes to the rooftop, and there she sees one Nazuka smoking her last cigarette. Yeah, that song. Smoking a cigarette. To which again adds a layer of like, I didn't know you smoke cigarettes. Who are you? As we get a cute little moment from Kaoru herself, wondering, oh, the nurse is up here. I didn't know you smoked. Interestingness. And yeah, in this moment of despair, of great pain, one can only imagine how Kaoru felt in that moment of just feeling very unseen, of just understanding that the people she thought would care about her had already moved on and were not gonna try to coexist with this girl. So in this moment, in this extreme loneliness, we get a confrontation, almost a confession from Kaoru himself, leaning on Nazuna's and implying that, yeah, there is some sort of sexual tension here. There is a emotional beat that we're not understanding. And the question here is, do we want to understand it? Or, as Nazuna phrases it, do you want to run? Or what is it? Did you want to run? Did you want to fly or whatever? Did you want to feel, right? And almost like implying that, again, for the moment, that on that rooftop, feeling ultimate euphoria with each other could get someone's emotions to run wild. You know what I mean? So yes, does this mean what it means? I think so. Does that mean that it's anything potato and we should like freak out and be potatoes about it? No. I believe that there's a lot going on here, and I believe that there is a lot that is gonna be said moving forward. And I believe that the way this was presented, a relationship, just facts, just a emotional bond, and how in that moment that bond meant more to either person, either one or the other, or maybe both, and how one thing led to another, felt completely believable, completely realistic. And it didn't feel like there was some weird pandering or this necessity to shove a sort of ideal, rather that it was that these two emotions, these two factors in this universe were able to perfectly react in a way that made them want to connect. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Nazuna's Secret History, Callofthenight, episode 4. Wow, it was wild. It was pretty. I don't know where we're going with this, because now it opens a whole can of worms in my brain, in terms of like, okay, so we are gonna stick to the idea that there is an amnesiac living with us who is either really good at pretending to not remember anything, but is seriously not remembering a lot of things. There's a lot of things that are being left out of this picture called Nazuna. And not that it's important, maybe that is the question that we're going to be asking ourselves in the future, or is her past really that important? Or is it something that we can either move past or we can accept to become something different? Because if we're just looking back in despair and carrying that with us forward, then you haven't left it yet. And that is gonna be the great big question for our friends. If they can accept the love that they had between Nazuna and Kabura, while also pushing forward to either find the solution or to move on, to let go, then yeah, I think we can have a chance for our main character, or our boy, Ko, to actually have not just a moment, but a actual relationship with this girl, and which they do have. They're cute, they're fun, they spend their time together, but clearly I think we're both trying to find something more in this relationship, and it's up to those two characters to try to give each other the openings to show each other that that is what they want. And that is where we go from here, man. It is a lot of angles, it's a lot of things to ask. There's still, remember, there is still a wild psychopath that is burning vampires to death in the streets, and these young mates, vampire fellows, are gonna have to find a solution to that. So it's a lot of exciting things happening. Looking forward to all that and more. But hey, if you like that, if you like this, it's your boy EXP66 Stitch, El Assassin Alchemist, wishing you a good time, buenos dias, and a better tomorrow. But I'll catch you tomorrow, or maybe in a few minutes. Ciao. Matane.